Right, now I would have preferred to have done one big video, but you guys would have been waiting a week or two, so I've decided to break it down into multiple videos covering chapters of the Earth 2 draft summary, which I will then create a playlist of for anyone wanting to watch it all in one go. I'm pretty much just going to read through each section and talk about points as we go. Starting with listed stats, here we have 90 million tiles sold, over $14 million paid out to players, over 150,000 active monthly users. I'm not sure what metric they've used as active, but I'm guessing it's at least logging in once a week to claim jewels in essence. Over 5 million property trades. By trades, I'm going to take that as market sales. Over 112 million essence earned. That's from us, be it from promised essence on our tier 1 properties or from those tier 2s grinding little amounts. 170,000 followers. I'm guessing that's meaning across all social media platforms from Twitter to Discord and YouTube. Over 230,000 holo buildings. I'm actually shocked how low that is. I know tons of us who personally have hundreds of them, if not thousands. Don't forget, we get retrospective resources from the day it was added to the property. 10 minutes average daily visitor time, although there's probably a few of us, including myself, spending multiple hours a day on the platform and dragging that average up. It's still an impressive number though, with so little utility. 20% of traffic from the USA, by only listing them, I presume that's their top country. Great market though, plenty of money and tons of advertisers wanting those views. Over 1.4 million jewels were crafted. Now that's not spawned, that's actually crafted from either combining jewels, shards or both. That's a big number considering the short time jewel crafting has been live. Over 1.6 million jewels sold. We've all seen the market going crazy every time there's an update, so that comes as no surprise to me. 72,000 luminous jewels. For everyone that doesn't know, luminous is the best quality a jewel can intentionally be crafted to, using shards and essence, with only brilliant jewels being of a higher quality. However, these are only produced by chance when crafting a luminous, so be sure to check your craft results. We also know the total number of brilliant jewels to be 274. If we divide the 72,000 luminous jewels by the 274 brilliant jewels, that gives us a 0.0038 chance of getting a brilliant jewel when upgrading to luminous. Although I'm not sure if that takes into account any accidental shatters of brilliant jewels. Now we do have a disclaimer. The content provided in this draft summary and Earth 2 update is intended solely to provide a general background information about Earth 2's proposed objectives. It should not be interpreted as a white paper, disclosure statement, representation, or promise. The content should be considered as an indicative update but remains subject to change without notice. The information in this update was posted with reasonable care and attention. However, no representation or warranty or express or implied is made by Earth 2 as to the fairness, accuracy, completeness or correctness of this information, opinions and conclusions contained in this draft, summary and update. Earth 2 disclaims all liability for direct or indirect losses resulting from using, relying or acting upon information in the draft summary and update. And so do I for that matter. Basically, it's a rough plan. Plans sometimes change if something doesn't work out or a better opportunity comes along, staff members change, or a multitude of other reasons. They would be crazy not to have this in to cover themselves. There's also an email, feedback@earth2io, for any of us community members who want to share our input, feedback or concerns about this draft. Now, Section 1, Introduction, the People's Metaverse. We start off with a quote from Shane. The place you now stand is digitally represented inside of Earth 2, manifesting the beginning of an omnipresent imperative towards achieving the ultimate goal of a metaverse, which feels as though it lives, breathes, and exists around you, wherever you may stand on this planet. Now I think that speaks for itself, so moving on to the main content. Earth 2 is a futuristic concept for a second Earth, a metaverse between virtual and physical reality in which real-world geolocations on a section map correspond to user-generated digital virtual environments. These environments produce digital assets, can be owned, bought and sold, and in the near future, deeply customized. This draft update will detail how these digital environments will continue to evolve far beyond their current capabilities. Earth 2 will begin as a pristine, untouched, uninhabited virtual version of Earth. It will ultimately be player designed, created, built and owned using the technology developed by the Earth 2 team. Each piece of virtual land will maintain an irrefutable link back to the physical world through its unique corresponding geolocational attribute, which is built inside Earth 2, will be the result of either player time, investment, effort, or a mixture of all three. This will serve to create a justifiable extrinsic value on everything that exists within Earth 2, and therefore reinforce a true play-to-earn ecosystem. Launching in November 2020, Earth 2 experienced unprecedented growth and remains the biggest registry of virtual land holdings in the world across all metrics, including the amount of land sold and the number of unique people who own that land. Using common growth measurement rules in the industry, within 12 months of launching, Earth 2 was one of the most successful consumer startups in history in terms of user adoption, revenue, user-to-user sales, and engagement rates. It is impossible to ignore the fact that the metaverse space is an exciting one, with a growing number of reasons as to why reputable companies such as JP Morgan are claiming it will become a $1 trillion market opportunity in yearly revenues. But at this early stage, the metaverse space is convoluted and is fast becoming a difficult area for people to understand, navigate, and most importantly, discover. Yeah, I completely get that. We're in an emerging field, and unless you're at least a little bit nerdy or into sci-fi, the metaverse will be an alien concept and one that's hard to quantify for many. But going by the mentioned stats and the growth of Earth 2 and the passion of the team and community, I can't see it not doing big things in the coming years. Web 2, or the internet as we know it today, is largely represented by search engines and applications that people utilise to find, view, and interact with content displayed on mostly 2D web pages controlled by centralised sources. There is a popular discussion around what Web 1, Web 2 and Web 3 are, and the next expert in the field will provide a slight variation to the previous definition each and every time. There is, however, a general consensus that Web 1 was launched in the mid to late 80s and was created to be used by mostly large corporations and not for individuals. The Read era. Web 2 began somewhere in the first 5 years of the 2000s, and due to a more widespread learning of programming languages, framework, tools and networking, more and more people were able to build on the web, which in turn increased user-to-user interactive websites, games, content creation and social media services, all delivering progressively graphically appealing 2D styled environments. The Right era. And now there is a general consensus that Web 3 will be heavily focused on the introduction of decentralized web that functions around decentralized applications, decentralized finance, and irrefutable ownership provided by various blockchains. The user becomes the owner, the ownership era. It is also widely accepted that Web 3 will include the broader introduction of immersive 3D experiences as opposed to the current 2D platform provided in Web 2. Long term, it is anticipated that most experiences inside of Web 3 will take place in 3D environments, as evidenced by the natural association people have formed between Web 3 and the metaverse. There is no doubt that Web 2 is the current on-ramp for the transition into Web 3, but Earth 2 is positioned to introduce ways in which Web 2 and Web 3 data is represented in visual maps, locations, and 3D-centric environments, and will focus on capitalising on this opportunity, displaying and connecting Web3 and external metaverse-driven experiences in one core area that Earth 2 will leverage to cement itself into the broader progress and representation of Web3. Exciting projects, whether they be Web3 driven, metaverse driven, or somewhere in between, emerge daily around the world, and it is difficult to discover these projects and even harder to ascertain which of them are popular and may spark the viewer's own personal interest. Discovering these projects on 2D Web2 websites also leaves a lot to be desired. Earth 2 is the biggest central point of ownership for virtual real estate in the world, and our vision is for the growth we have experienced, the technology we have been building, and our passionate community to assist us in achieving our next goal. Earth 2's goal is to become a central point for Web3 and other metaverse projects by providing the ability to display, link, and create visual representations of them and their data within the Earth 2 metaverse and the 3D digital Earth-sized world we're building. Now that might come as a bit of a shock to some users. I kind of knew Earth 2 wanted to link into other games and applications as such, but it sounded more and more like they wanted to become pretty much a living, breathing Web3 equivalent of, let's say, an app store or internet browser, with them being the framework that supports other people's projects. That's pretty cool and a huge aspiration. Without early users, subsequent users do not join a platform. These early users are rarely recognised and certainly not significantly rewarded or compensated inside of Web 2. It is the early adopters, the pioneers, that drive the popularity of a service or the success of a product. Web3 provides a way for these projects to reward these early adopters with the likes of tokens and NFTs, so when the project wins, so do its greatest supporters. Even as the centralised platform it is currently, Earth 2 has uniquely been able to achieve this mutually beneficial relationship with our players, resulting in tens of thousands of players not only making, but being paid out over 14 million USD to date, for trading virtual land and assets on the Earth 2 platform. This has all been achieved inside of a fiat-driven environment, and it is anticipated that the introduction of Web3 to Earth 2 will see an exponential growth in all metrics, while allowing us to continue rewarding our early adopter players in addition to the early rewards claimed through land ownership alone. This draft update marks the beginning of a much anticipated move to decentralization and tokenization of digital assets inside Earth 2. The first step we will see the tokenization of the core player element, Essence, followed by plans to decentralize the ownership of close to 100 million player-owned tiles by minting the digital assets as NFTs on chain. Awesome. They appreciate us, the community, and want to see us doing well too. I certainly have no complaints or objections to that. Now another quote from Shane. I see Web3 going as far as possible, correcting some of the global distribution of wealth, providing more opportunities for the average person who spends time online to become part of that distribution. I have no issues with larger corporations becoming part of Web3 and building inside the metaverse. In fact, they need to have a presence there, which will be extremely beneficial for them. But that presence should be directly aligned with the players and consumers through decentralization asset ownership. So part of this scenario would see them operate in the metaverse as an open and permissionless basis, as we see with many other metaverse projects, but which is not currently the case for them, and partaking in the game and platform as an autonomous entity to work or trade with other players to achieve their ambitions and more. This is the reason we have implemented a very simple token allocation system that provides most of the tokens back to the players as rewards through play to earn inside of the Earth 2 metaverse. This is also one of the reasons we're introducing the definition of the people's metaverse, given Earth 2's plans to create an in-depth governance system that will see land titles becoming NFTs that feature multi-dimensional voting rights and invite large corporations to work alongside us, the players, instead of above us. Now, I'm not sure how many of you guys noticed it, but Claximus pointed out there's what looks like a HSBC logo on the recent image Shane and the Earth 2 team posted on Twitter. HSBC is a bank, if you don't know what they are. Could this be one of the big businesses he speaks of? or does it just bear a striking resemblance? As always, thanks for watching, don't forget to like and subscribe, and have an amazing day.